my issue is I want it to be thick, but I kind of dig it that the colors are popping through. It makes it look more realistic for a stone thing. But hopefully I can get, as I put more layers on, hopefully I can get that showing through and at the same time make it look thicker and more like stone. We're going to give it a second. This is part 2. Okay, so this is a decision I have wrestled with for a while. Fabric isn't too expensive, but the kind that you want for outdoors, the sunbrella fabric, can be very, very expensive. They are as of now. I imagine because it's the height of the season. So I thought, what do I do with this? So we actually need a repair here. I'm not a sewer, but I probably will attempt to hand stitch this at some point. Right now it's just not a priority, but I'm going to do it before this video is over. I'm going to stitch that up. But what I want to do first is I want to see, I looked at replacement cushions. They have that. These were on sale, this Rust-Oleum Outdoor Fabric Spray Paint. These were on sale, and I'm trying to remember what it was because it was days ago. So I'm going to say I believe it was anywhere from $5 to $7 a can. So I got 2 of these. So that's a big chunk of my budget already. But I really needed this to work. I'm really working with what I have here. So I am going to spray these. It is an outdoor fabric paint. So let's give this a shot. We're shaking it up. And I'm going to spray. I wanted a navy blue because I wanted to change the colors. Okay, well it's going on really well. I'm not sure how many coats it'll use. They have a fabric medium that you could buy, and you could mix it with paint and literally paint it on. I've seen videos on it. I considered it, but this was a cheaper option. The thing is, if it comes out really awful, I will replace these cushions. I just really want to see, because our goal always on this channel is to fit a very tight budget and help you find things on a very, very tight budget. As people say, you would get this on a cheap budget, and then their budget is $300. Yep, if you're redoing a room, $300 is great. But when you're doing a little patio, you shouldn't have to spend that. Times are hard these days, folks. And you shouldn't have to spend that kind of money. Keep in mind, we had these things on hand. You have the option, if you have a better budget than we do, to just go and get new cushions, or just get fabric, or use that fabric medium, or maybe to just buy the set because you haven't bought it yet. But we already had the patio set, which we did get for a really good deal. So far, so good. I'm not sure how it's going on, but it's supposed to be water resistant, dry to the touch within a very short time. Supposedly, it will not bleed or rain or drip. It will not fade. It's protected with the sun because it has SPF in it. So this would be a great option. And I really wanted to add a little color, plus these really needed to be replaced. Now obviously I have to do 2 sides, and I have to do multiple coats. I have 2 cans, and we're going to see how far this goes. And we'll find out if this was a good solution or not. Try to shake it in between. We'll give it a few minutes and see. A little splotchy. We're going to try coat 2. So I put these layers on pretty thick. I wanted to because I wanted to see. I'm hoping it doesn't pool and get spotty. Now we've got the other side. It looks like it's going well. So I'm kind of pleased with this. I really hope it lasts. I'm on my second can for the second side. Okay, that's the first coat on the second side. Doing coat 2 on the second side. So again, the second coat looks pretty great, and I'm going to try to finish it off with a third. Okay, so a little tacky still, and I'm going to go over, because I have very, very little bit left in the can. I'm going to go over any spots that just need a little touching up. So I'm going to make a shadow box of some sort, a frame with a chevron pattern for a house number. I have the house number and I have the wood on hand. I am not purchasing any wood. I'm going to take a chance on it because this is not pressure treated. I had a piece of wood and I wanted to cut it to a 9x9. The size that I already cut got a little ruined because I'm terrible with cutting. So I'm going to ask Paul, even though we're competing and he's not supposed to know certain details, I'm going to ask him to make this for me because I just don't trust myself with the saw. So I'm going to have Paul do this. He's going to cut for me a 9x9 piece of wood, and then I'm going to cut some strips that are already, they are pressure treated, they are already stained with an exterior stain, and I'm going to make a chevron pattern, and then I'm going to make a box around it, a frame. We're going to hang this sign on the house with the house number on it.
So I cut two 45-degree cuts. I'm going to line them up in the center line here. I'm going to make a mark for the off cuts here. So we'll see how these fit. Looks like one's a little long here, so I'm going to have to cut that down a bit. Now that I've got the first two pieces attached, I can butt the other piece of wood up against it and make sure I get the right angle. I just cut another 45-degree angle on that. I'm going to mark the bottom for cutting. Same for this side. So it was sticking out a little bit. I had to cut off these little corners were sticking out beyond the board.
So now we're going to do the frame on the outside. So it's not quite going to give the shadow box look because this is about the same length and width, but it's going to frame it at least. So we're just going to miter cut these here.
And I'm not even measuring. What I'm doing is I'm using the actual piece as my measurement. And that usually comes out more accurate. Cutting a 45-degree miter. Might be a little long, but a little long is better than a little short. I always try to mark the angle of the miter on the piece of trim just so I remember which way to cut it. You don't want to accidentally cut it the wrong way.
Because I would have done that. So going upwards, I guess, right?
Right.
I'm just going to paint the outer sides. Putting liquid nails on the number here. I'm just trying to clean off this liquid nails, but we liquid nailed it to the sign. Hopefully that stays on the sign, but I'm really hoping this glue dries clear, because I don't want to see white on here. A little messy around the 6. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't show the white glue and it wasn't drying, and I was getting nervous, and I tried to fix a little bit, but it just looks a bit rustic. I'm hoping it'll seem that way as time goes on. All right, so we're going to hang this up now. So our old number left a mark on the house, which is funny. We're going to cover that now with the new number sign that we made. We felt like the best way to do this was put screws on each side at the top directly into the wood and onto the house, as a hanging kit would just make it move around too much. If a big wind came, it would pick it right up and drop it off. So this was the best way for us. We had to drill pile of holes because it's hardy board siding. So we're almost at the end of this project. So there's a couple more finishing touches I need to do. I need to get some soil in here, and I'm out of potting soil, so I'm going to use some soil from our compost area and hope that it works out well. But I have some flowers. I got a 4-pack of these. This was from our garden, an azalea, and it's kind of a little wonky right now, but we're leaving it in a pot because we split it up and we're hoping that it does really well. And I'm going to leave it in a pot for a while. And then we had separated some of our Rose of Sharon because I thought it would be a really pretty potted plant. We're going to see how it does in a pot. And then with this, we had a pedestal. I wanted to give it a faux stone look, but I didn't want to go through the process of getting yet another can of faux stone paint, that textured sand paint. So I basically took care of it with gray paint, white paint, and a little bit of black paint, all exterior paint. And then I tried to flick a little bit of black paint on it, and I just tried to kind of swish it all together. I didn't realize that the battery had died when I was doing that, so unfortunately it's already done and I couldn't put it on camera. And then I had a plastic pot that we liquid nailed to the pedestal here, and it's basically a faux terracotta look to it, but it's plastic. And I did a very similar stone technique to it. I mean, it's obvious it's plastic, but it maybe would give it a kind of a neat look to it to kind of get it all cohesive together. But this table here was $5 from the Dollar Tree, so I got it in a light gray. These pots I had on hand. We have the cushions here, as you see. I had done, it was a fabric spray paint. So there's different ways you could do it. You can use fabric medium and outdoor paint, exterior paint, mix it together, equal parts fabric medium, equal parts exterior paint, and you can paint that on, and it will give you that soft feel. It'll give you the feel of fabric. We had a very low budget, Paul and I, and we did that on purpose because we have other things that we needed a bigger budget for, so we didn't want to go crazy on these projects. So I went even cheaper than that. You could also replace these cushions. This set that I bought on Amazon a couple years ago, you probably, if you go back to old videos, you will see Jake, Paul, and I putting this furniture together. But they have this set still on Amazon and in other places. And on Amazon, they have replacement cushions for it. It was $41.99, I believe it was, and sometimes they go on sale. There's also a coupon there. I had considered it, but that would have taken away from our low budget, and I would have went way over budget. So I went even cheaper than the fabric medium, because that's not even that expensive, but you need a lot of it. They sold an 8-ounce on Amazon, but it was very expensive if you wanted to get a lot of them. To me, it just, at that point, I would have just replaced the cushions. So my next cheapest thing was Rust-Oleum makes a fabric paint. I thought, I'll give it a try. So I'm here to review it for you. Let me tell you the faults of it. With the fabric paint, it does kind of get like thicker in certain spots and get spotty, but also it still feels slightly tacky to the touch. Now, although I can sit on it and I won't get something back on me, I won't get like a residue on me, it feels like I might. So it's a little uncomfortable because of that. I noticed when I was watering the other day, it left a couple of spots, and when I went to rub it off, even though it was a day after I had done it, later in the day, it did seem to rub off a little blue paint. So that was a little frustrating. So I think if you're gonna go this route, maybe use Scotchgard. All these little things would add up to pass my budget. So what I did is, I did as much as I could on that budget. I'm pretty sure if I go back to my calculations, I'll let you know at the end of this, I'm pretty sure that I kept on budget. But I might have went over a couple dollars. So I had done 2 cans of the fabric paint. I probably wouldn't recommend this product. If you were to do it, I would suggest to put a Scotchgard over it so it protects it. I'm gonna be honest with you, in a couple weeks, I'm probably just gonna get into my budget and just do the $42 and get the cushions, the replacements. But this might be a good backup. I won't throw them out. I'll probably just use it as a backup. If one gets too wet and I have people coming, I can throw this on. And they look nice, but I don't trust them totally. So that's my review of that. I had done this old pot that we had laying around. I had bought a textured in sand color. I had done a textured paint, and it's actually really nice. So I added a gray exterior paint and a white exterior paint along with the stone, and I had already some age on it, and I really like that because I really wanted it to look like it had been here a long time. There is a crack forming on it. I'm guessing it'll last another year or two, but I wanted to give it that old age look. So that was free, except for the textured spray paint, and then I had the other exterior paints. Also, the plants, for a 4-pack of these purple plants, they're so pretty. I forget the name here. I believe you pronounce it ageratum, or ageratum. Anyway, it's $3.88 for a 4-pack at Walmart. So I just really love that there are these fluffy, cute little purple flowers. So I decided I wanted to do that. So I'm gonna do these in the 2 pots here. And like I told you, these plants we had on hand with the pressure treated wood, all of it, and I redid a number on our house. So that was also part of the project. And that's it. I'm just going to show me doing this here, and then we're all set. If you can hear in the background, my husband's doing his area now, the secret garden. I'm gonna tell you folks, he's probably gonna win this challenge. From what I did sneak a peek over there, it's pretty cool. I love it. But I didn't have much to do in here. It's just adding texture and color. What I also did that I wanna add is I did put more polymeric sand on the patio and on the walkway because I really needed to fill that in and fix that up. So even though it doesn't seem like much, even though it's not going to show much in the video, all that kind of stuff does add up at what you do to improve the look of it. So I'm really proud of it. It's really exciting. I have been working through extreme heat this week in the full sun. I wanted to add a shade element to this, but it would not have stayed within my budget. But please know that I did try. I was really hoping to win this challenge, but I think I'm gonna have to give it over to Paul. Wait till you see his spot over there. I imagine you're gonna vote for that. Please vote and let us know, but I'm gonna tell you, he probably won it.
Okay, so my chosen challenge area is the secret garden. This is our secret garden. We kind of fixed it up last year, but it's getting a little overgrown. We've got raspberry bushes growing where they shouldn't be. Most of it's looking decent, but some of the stuff could use an improvement. All these oregano plants definitely need to be trimmed back and harvested. Some plants need organization, I think. We've got things that are kind of squished in together. The mint is getting out of control. And I know everybody says never plant mint in the ground, always put it in a pot. So I'm going to wrangle this with a creative solution. And well, we'll see what I can come up with for our secret garden challenge. So the more I look at my new design, I've got the raised planter over there, the brick planter. I realize it looks a little lopsided, so I'm going to put a second one in right over here. So my next project is an obelisk. I'm making an obelisk for that secret garden. I've just got these for materials, a couple of old 2x3s from our old fence. So I'm going to see what I can do with them. They're solid enough, but they don't look so great. Let's see what we can do. Okay, this one's 6 feet long. I'm going to make them both 6 feet long. One's longer than the other, so I'll just go with the shortest one. And rip these two in half. I'm trying to think of what angle to cut these at. I'm just going to kind of get a rough idea. Something like this. And then I will try to mimic that on all the pieces. Now it's going to be tricky to have to hold this in place because I can't go up against the guard with that. So we're just going to go freehand here. Not bad. I'll try to transfer that line over. Now I've got to experiment with the angles on the end of these. I'll cut a 45 on one just to see how close we are. So I cut the ends of each of my cross members at a 45. That seems to work okay. I'm going to get everything a couple of coats of white paint. So I've got this one remaining 2x3 that I have an idea for a project. I'm going to rip it in half. So I just screwed these all together up to the top. Now I'm going to add the supports down at the bottom. It's a very rudimentary design, and I had very limited materials, just a couple of boards I had on hand. So hopefully it comes out all right. I think it will. So there it is. So along here, behind this bench, we have these raspberry bushes that tend to get a little lanky, and they tend to flop over onto the patio and onto the bench area. So I'm going to build a little area to restrain them, a little kind of a fence. Got these old poles from the old pool. I'm going to drive them into the ground, give them a little black paint later. So I gave this old bench a quick sanding, and now I'm going to give it some stain. There's the finished bench. Behind the bench, I'm going to put in this raspberry barrier. This is from that 2x3 that I ripped down. Gave it a quick coat of stain. I'm going to put them up here to hold back the raspberries as they get tall and lanky. I'm not sure how high I'm going to go yet. Let's see. Since they're short raspberries at this time, I'm going to put it a little lower. I can always add another rail later as they grow.
A lot of stuff can be done for free. This was all maintenance. This was getting rusty, so I really cleaned it up, scrubbed it and scraped it, and then I used an exterior paint to paint over it to kind of touch it up and refresh it. So refresh that black paint. We did get a storm, so you're going to see some debris in there, but it was super nice and clean. I had some blue exterior covers on hand and added 2 more blue pillows. I told you what I did here with the covers, with the seating cushions, and also here with our plants. Just gives it a little more interest in this corner. Our window boxes are doing great. I did touch up with exterior paint on the outside of these window boxes. They got kind of worn, and the paint was starting to, fade. So I wanted to refresh it. I refreshed with exterior paint the hose reel. I told you what I did with the planter here and added some plants that we already had, and I just wanted to kind of gather it together. Our begonias are doing great. We have a lot of you'll see rose petals everywhere because the roses are almost done, the climbing roses, which always makes me sad because they're so beautiful. But they lasted a really long time. They were beautiful this year and last year, and honestly, we had a good season. But now we're starting to get, if you can see, the clematis are starting to grow. You can see a lot of it on the other side, the outside, which thrills me because everyone gets to see that. So pretty. What I didn't say is I did add mulch to this area. So I did do this one section as part of my redo. We had a lot of bags of mulch from various projects, so I used a good amount here. I believe 16 bags to kind of do this one spot. I still have to do on the inside of the fence eventually, and that section over there, as well as weed it, and I have to do in front of the house. But for now, it looks great. I did move these pots that used to be on the patio, but this particular one, we had moved it a couple times. It wasn't happy no matter where we moved it. Now it's very happy. So it's found its happy home here on the patio, this front deck here, near the patio. So we kind of added one here and one there to kind of help with a little bit of a balance. And I added some solar lights here. I put the sensor on the top of the lantern and inside the little lights. What I was looking for was a pillar, solar pillar candle. It's hard to find that for a decent price, but also it wasn't working out, and it wouldn't have been here on time. So, and it would have went a little over my budget. So I really wanted to stick to my budget. I think budget-wise, I won the competition. Design-wise, I'm sorry to say, I think Paul won that. Bummer. But you know what? He deserves it. It looks fabulous from what I did catch of it. And then over here, the sign, like I told you, that was a free project, the things we had on hand, but it looks so much better than it did before. I'll try to get up close. When I touched up the polymeric sand in between here with the cracks, I also added polymeric sand and rocks. Excuse the little... we did get a little backwash of things because of the thunderstorm yesterday, so I'm going to rinse that down. But I wanted to show you this. I put some pebbles there to try to help with the polymeric sand staying in place, but also it helped with that gap. I'm always worried about critters getting in there, so I did fix that. It's a decent solution, and it helps with having rocks everywhere on our property, so it kind of goes with the look. Let me know what you think. My feelings will not be hurt if you say Paul won that, because honestly, I think he deserves it. But I did stay in my budget. So that was a fun week.
It was. It was good.
It was, I realized when we did that, now that we're sitting here doing the outro, we never did an intro. So here's what happened. This week we did a fun project. We decided to do a competition.
Challenge.
A challenge.
Yeah.
And it was, and we looked around the yard, and we're kind of behind on a few projects, so we thought, hey, we'll get 2 projects done in 1 week, but a lot of these projects are minor things.
Right.
So they're not like major things. It's not like we need to build structures of any kind. It was, although you did do some structures, but it was mostly aesthetic. It was mostly weeding and maintaining and taking care of, but we wanted to add a little pop to each section.
So we each chose a spot in the yard.
Yeah.
And you chose the front patio.
I did. Everything's pretty much how we want it, but it needed some maintenance and repair, and it needed a little zhuzhing up.
Yeah.
So we needed to kind of do something magic to it. So I'll get into that in a second.
Came out great, by the way.
Thank you. It, very simplistic, not much. I'm going to say I loved it. I stayed in budget. We started out with a $20 budget, and realistically we thought, no way.
We both realized, okay, no.
Yeah. So we decided to do a $40 each
$40
budget.
And we each stayed in the budget.
We did. We were both slightly under.
Yeah.
I think you might have won budget-wise, but by a few dollars. But I'm going to say I know when to admit defeat, and I'm going to say, because mine was a little more simple, I'm going to say that I'm pretty sure Paul won. When I saw his face, I was like, all right, I think he won this thing.
I don't think so.
I
came
do.
out beautiful.
Oh, so did yours. But anyway, you chose
The Secret Garden, which we had done, of course, last year. And
through the years a little bit.
Through the years, we've kind of kept improving on it. And it's gotten to the point where it just needed a little tweaking. It's still a beautiful space, but it was getting a little overgrown. Some plants had grown close together, needed moving around. And the thing that I really wanted to take care of was that mint. The mint was starting to spread out and kind of it was a nice ground cover at first, but then it just started looking weedy and sloppy. So I wanted to contain that.
It does look that way. I love mint. We have 2 different versions. We have like a spearmint, I believe it is, and then we have a chocolate mint. I love both of them.
Yeah.
I use them constantly.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to necessarily get rid of it. Although Paul did get rid of a lot because they will keep growing, and they will reseed and plant themselves somewhere else, and we'll learn to contain it. The thing is, I do use it, so I don't want to get rid of it. We purposely planted it, but that's just a bit of a warning, folks. When you plant mint, know that it's going to get very weedy and take over. It really will take over.
Aggressively, but it's a nice ground cover if you have the right space for it. So I thought containing it in those brick planters, I know it's not the same as a regular plastic planter, so we may get some offshoots from that, but I think for the most part, I think it'll be pretty good.
I'm going to admit, when I first saw it, I really thought it was a little old-fashioned, and it was maybe a 1980s thing to do, but it's growing on me.
Okay.
And I will say, I wasn't sure about it at first.
Right.
But I do like it, and it's a clever way to kind of make like a planter, but also contain that mint.
Yeah.
And it gave it a little bit of structure.
That's what I wanted. That's why I raised it up a bit and
Yeah.
gave a little structure to the area.
Yeah.
So we have the bricks on hand. As you know, we have a resource pile of all kinds of stuff that we may use someday. So we have a stack of bricks.
You have it nicely contained and nice and neat.
Right.
So it's not like we throw a bunch of stuff there.
Right.
So.
No, we have an area where we keep different things that we may use someday, and the bricks we had some extra.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then the obelisk, I just threw that together.
Okay, that was a surprise, and I love it. I feel like it might need a little finial on the top or something.
Something on the top to dress it up a little bit.
It's lovely. I really love it. And that really surprised me. That was
Thank you.
really clever. He doesn't think he comes up with ideas. He thinks it's me all the time, but honestly,
it usually
he
is
does.
you, but
He does. And
anyway.
that was really clever. That was really nice. And it's beautiful. It really is. In fact, you can use it actually if you wanted to have something climb up.
Yeah.
But right now, I even like the way it is right now.
Thank you.
Okay. What else?
So that's the main. Oh, and also I stained the bench. The When I bought the stain, I thought, okay, this is the right color. I'm not pleased with it. I came out too dark. I would have gone with a different color had I known how it would look. But either way, it'll
I'm
weather.
okay with it.
It'll weather and it'll lighten up, I'm sure, as time goes on. So
Yeah.
sure it'll be fine.
Well, and then you corralled the raspberries.
Right, that's right. That's another thing that the raspberries tend to grow and kind of flop over and kind of create a mess. So
They do.
So that was just something, again, stuff I had on hand that made a little something to hold them up. So yeah.
I think it turned out great. I really do. And sometimes it's just these little touches. We both did some mulching. I didn't need it on the patio, but I decided to extend it because I felt bad. We needed to do it anyway, but Paul was doing a lot of work. So I decided to go across from the patio. We have a little mulched area in our front yard, everywhere actually, but that was one spot. And I thought, all right, we have to tackle it a little at a time because there's a lot of mulched areas, which I think we're going to rethink in the future. But for now, we're keeping that, and so I did just in that general area. So that was just to add a little bit more. For me, we had that mulch on hand. We had bought, Walmart had them on sale for $2 a bag, and we had bought them. Every week we seemed to buy a little bit more, so that was already on hand. I did not add that in my budget because that's something we get for the whole yard as it is. So I suppose if you did add that, I would have went over, but I didn't add that to the budget because we had that on hand. I didn't buy it this week as part of the budget.
Right, and that's not really actually part of the patio space, so that's kind of
right.
It's what you can see from the patio. So if you're sitting there, it kind of really made it look nice from the area.
So it really did refresh that entire area. And one of the things I did that I liked, a little thing here, a little PSA about what went on. I really am trying to learn tools. I'm really trying to learn how to figure out how to build things on my own. It's something I've always wanted to do. There's a lot of women who know how to do a lot of that stuff, and I thought I would really like to know that. And not all the time is Paul around. It's something I should know. And I used the table saw. He was right there with me. I didn't realize that when you use the table saw, sometimes it can, I knew to obviously protect my hands. I've done everything I thought I was doing correctly. What happened was I had pulled back slightly at the end, and it kind of went like this and came flying at me. Luckily it didn't hit my head, but it did hit my stomach. It did bounce off and hit my hand and my foot. I had a little bit of an injury. So
it was my bad for not instructing you properly about kickbacks and different things that could happen with the
it's fine. He told me the basic safety precautions, but that was something that obviously he's been doing this for a long time, so it didn't occur maybe to him. But
I'm just glad you're okay.
I am. So that really discouraged me and frightened me a little bit.
Gun shy from the power tools.
I am.
I understand completely.
And it hurt.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of reeling from that. So I kind of have a little bit of fear now of that. I'm sure I'll get my confidence back again. So for me, I stepped away from that and I said, Paul, I really need your help on this. So he did help me with this one project. I did attempt it. I really wanted to do this on my own, but we kind of worked out how we wanted it to look, and I gave him an idea, and he, of course, handled it beautifully. This was
beautiful design for the
Thank you.
number.
Yeah, so it was the house number,
Yeah.
and I wanted it to really stand out and pop. It was just a simple number on the house, and I really wanted it to pop. So I built like a little framed area, and we had pressure treated wood for most of it, but the foundation of it on the back, the base of it, was not. So I'm hoping it lasts for a long time. We used the same number, and we just basically painted it.
Yeah.
So it popped out. I really like how it came out. That really was Paul doing that. But my idea, but Paul's doing, because I really did attempt to do it myself. Please know that if you're going to use a tool, please be safe about it. It is very scary.
Yeah.
You really have to be very, very careful. I will learn. I think I'm going to be away from it for a while because it really did scare me a bit. But I think it's something I will learn in the future because it's something I've always wanted to know how to do. and I'm terrible. I used to be very good at math, but I'm terrible at math now. So even figuring out measurements and whatnot is always a thing for me that is difficult. So something I plan on doing. It's good for the brain as we age to learn new things. So it is something I'm going to teach myself down there, or have Paul teach me down the road. But anyway, that's a little caveat there. But so that was my one project. We wanted to do our projects that we had. We wanted to do at least one thing that we built that would be repurposed, recycled, things we had on hand. We didn't want that to be a part of our budget and have to go out and spend. So I'm proud of us that we always do that. It's something that's very important to both of us.
It is. Also, you changed up the cushions. Tell us about that.
So I did tell you a little bit, so I won't go into it too much again, but what I will say is I wanted to take a chance on it. They're kind of falling apart, they're getting dingy, they're getting worn. And it was something like, all right, let me do this. How do I do this within that budget? So that was a big chunk of my budget with this. Honestly, I wish I had just gotten the cushions, the replacement cushions that they do sell on Amazon.
Didn't you say it wouldn't be in time?
It wouldn't have.
That's why you chose the
It would not have.
paint.
Yeah, it would not have been in time, and also, I thought I was going to try to save a little bit. But when you add up all the things that you need for it, it does add up. So this day and age, especially. So we really wanted to show that you could beautify a small area, and especially we have created these rooms. We've said that before.
In our yard.
Yeah. So to do that. We're able to focus on a little at a time and keep within a certain budget.
Right.
We're doing certain things each year. Like next year, we're going to focus on our hill and more of our forest area. But this year, we really want to finish up some major areas here in our main part of our yard, our flat part of our yard. So to do that, we really wanted to just kind of section everything off in rooms and, okay, what's the budget for this week? Every year we try to make a certain budget that we stick to. And we're pretty good about keeping on budget. And for the most part, we try to have things that are more permanent. We don't want to have to replace it a couple years down the road. But I think next year we're going to focus on other areas of the yard. We're going to focus on maybe a little more of our grass, things like that, because we just never focused on that as much.
One thing at a time.
We have, we have focused on one thing at a time, and I'm very happy and very pleased the way it came out.
Yeah.
A lot of it was kind of last minute. We're a little late this week, as you know, because we've been fighting against the extreme temperatures. It has been so hot.
Yeah.
We're like in the 90s. We've had heat index values up to 104 degrees. Very, very hot. So,
and then the thunderstorms too.
Yes.
So we're dodging the heat and the thunderstorms, so it just took a little longer to get things done. So.
Yes, so because of that, we were kind of squeezing in when we could. And an injury here and there. So that really took up a lot of time. So I think we did okay. We really would rather be late some weeks and have a complete video for you than to say, hey, stay tuned next week and here's the finished product. So.
Right.
I think all in all, it turned out great. So, great job.
Yeah.
We stayed on budget.
Well done. I think you did a wonderful job.
I think you did too. Thank you.
Now,
Almost swallowed an ice cube.
tell us what you think in the comments. Let us know which one you like better. Gina's beautiful patio project.
Or Paul's secret garden project. No feelings will be hurt.
Absolutely.
We
just
both
love to hear from you.
We'd love to hear what you think of it,
Yeah.
but we'd like to say vote on it because we're actually really curious because we like some of the ideas that we did. We don't have to be too competitive, but there's a little competing spirit between the two of us. We'd like all we want is the bragging rights. So, but I actually really do love Paul's. I'm going to vote Paul's project personally.
I vote for yours all the way. It came out beautifully.
We're being nice to each other, but honestly, I really, really do love his. But let us know what you think. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up if you like this kind of video, and we'd love it if you could subscribe too.
We'd love that. Thank you so much for joining us this week.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Thank you.